G'day you mob, welcome to this episode of Aussie English, the number one place for anyone and everyone wanting to learn Australian English, as well as culture, news, current affairs, all that jazz. Today is no exception, guys. Today I have the amazing pleasure of chatting with Dua Fakhereddin, who is one of my oldest students. She has been following Aussie English for a few years now, I think. Well, yeah, Dua, you've probably been following me for about 3 or 4 years at least. Now, she's originally from Jordan. Her native language is Arabic, although you wouldn't know considering how well she speaks English. And today I got her on the podcast because as of, I think she mentioned July the 2nd, it had been 12 months in Australia. Now, if you want to check out the first podcast that I did with Dua, it is podcast 578, and that was after 3 months in the country. So it's going to be interesting to compare those two episodes and see the before and after, I guess, or the early stages and the after, once she was in Australia and enjoying life down under and adapting to life with her family. Anyway, without any further ado, guys, here is Dua Fakhereddin. Thank you so much, Dua, for coming on. It was a pleasure, and it was amazing to be able to hear about your story, getting used to life in Australia after 12 months. Let's do it. All right. G'day, guys. Welcome to this episode of Aussie English. Today I have Dua with us. She was here, how long? Well, obviously it was about 9 months ago because you were here for the 3-month interview when it was 3 months after you'd arrived in Australia. Now it's a year after you've arrived in Australia, right? So I guess firstly I want to say Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Hello, everybody.
And I think I can say also marhaba, can I, in Jordanian?
It's marhaba.
Marhaba.
Yeah, marhaba.
Marhaba. That's hard.
Yeah, you're learning new languages.
I was looking into it today. I was like, I wonder how I can impress her. And the response is ahlan, right? Or aslan.
Yeah, ahlan.
Ahlan. Awesome. Yes.
Different pronunciation, yeah.
So welcome to the podcast.
Good on you, Pete. You're doing well.
I'm working on it. I don't get me wrong. I remember you've said in the past, you should try learning Arabic. And I'm like, that's putting life on hard mode because I know how different it is from English, right? So
yeah, it is. Yeah, it
far
is.
out. So yeah, you've been in Australia for a year. How's it been?
One long year. Well, it's been one of the years that are full of challenges, changes, new things everywhere,
for all
new
of us.
Experiences. Yeah, but I'm glad we're done. Yeah, on the morning of the 2nd of July, I woke up and I said, oh my God, it's been a year.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How many memories can I count in this year? Heaps of memories.
So, first of all, I guess you should probably jog the listeners' memories and remind them where you're from and what it was like coming to Australia, reasons for coming to Australia in the process.
Yeah, I come from Jordan. Jordan is in the Middle East. I'm an engineer, so I applied for a skilled immigrant visa, 189. It took me 2.5 years to prepare and get this visa granted. As an engineer, I had to pass through several stages. I started with Engineers Australia as kind of an assessment to my certificate in order to be able to work here in Australia. And I had to go through several English assessment tests. I was granted the visa on Valentine's Day, 2019. Yeah. The officer was too nice and he sent me I think she was a female. She sent me the visa on Valentine's Day. And within 5 months, we wrapped everything. We got all our papers and stuff ready and arrived in Melbourne in early July, same year.
Far out. So it was winter and there was no pandemic at the time.
No, everything was normal at that time.
so
no pandemic, no bushfires.
Oh, I know. Yeah, far out.
It's kind of different life.
Yeah, you've definitely come at a good time, right? I guess at least you had a good 6 months before the as we can say informally, the shit hit the fan, right? Yeah. Far out. So what was your sort of initial impressions when you got to Australia? What did you think of the place, the language, everything like that?
Well, to be honest, I prepared myself well on the accent and the language. I remember searching for learning Australian accent, and the first result was your website, Learn Aussie English, and I, and I even didn't know how to pronounce the word Aussie. I read it Aussie, but I knew it was related to Australia, and I started popping into your lessons and podcasts ever since then. And to be honest, it's one of the most helpful platforms to learn Australian English, to learn about the Australian culture, the differences between Australia and any other countries. And the most important thing is the accent. Yeah. You speak slowly, others speak even faster, but you get used to it. Yeah. When you hear the phrase, when you hear the word, at least you hear it and you know it's something something you've jotted down somewhere. And I'm keeping my notebook. I write everything you teach, especially the phrases, the slang words. And I found it easier when I came in here. I couldn't speak Aussie at the beginning because I'm used to the American accent, and but it didn't take me a while. I adopted easier than I expected.
Oh, that's brilliant. Because, I mean, yeah, that's the whole goal of Aussie English, that, you know, the whole point was to try and make life as easy as possible for you before arriving somewhere like Australia.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it makes me very happy to hear that it was helping you, you know, to prepare. But tell us,
absolutely, very helpful, Pete.
What are some of the kinds of accents and characters and people that you've run into? Because I guess that's one of the harder things for me to try and ever prepare people for. Have you had any interesting stories about situations or characters that you've met here in Australia in your first year?
Yeah, the funny thing about Melbourne, the city I'm staying in, is that it's a multicultural city. You meet people from almost all around the world. You hear the Chinese English, you hear the Indian English, you hear the British English, along with the Aussie English.
A lot of people get shocked, right? I've had a lot of people tell me that they were expecting to walk into Crocodile Dundee, the film, when they got to Melbourne, and they're like, there are no Australians. And I'm like, no, there are. They're just not what you expected.
It depends on where you live. That was my impression the first 2 months. I was gonna send you a message and tell you, hey, Pete, where are the Aussies?
They're around you. They're just not what you expect.
Yeah. But it depends where you live, which communities you blend with.
Yeah.
The mistake that people make is that they stick to their communities. It's easy to find your community because everything's online now. Social networking has made everything easy. All connections are easy.
And I'm sure if you just go to Facebook and type in Jordanians in Australia, in Melbourne.
Exactly. Or even in Melbourne, even in Epping, even in North Melbourne.
Yeah, there's groups.
You'll find a lot of people.
So try and avoid doing that, right? Try and avoid doing that.
Yeah, the mistake is that some people really bound themselves with their communities. In a way, their English is affected. They never speak English. Yep. I know people who never have to speak English. Yeah. Because even if they go shopping, they go to community-related places where people speak their own language. It's something respected. It's okay to keep your language, to keep your culture, to celebrate, to enjoy it. But you're living in a larger community, which is the Aussie one. And you have to learn how these people live, how they talk, because eventually you're going to talk to them. Yeah. You don't want to look like a foreigner and a stranger, even after spending years in Australia.
Well, I had a funny story about that when I was at university. And I think the first year at university, I was working in a factory that was producing food for Woolworths. And there were loads of Vietnamese people who worked there because I think the factory was in a location where there were lots of Vietnamese people in that community. And they're really funny in terms of one of them gets a job and then all of a sudden all their friends and family have a job at the same place. I mean, it's the same with all communities, I imagine. But I remember
It is.
I met my manager, who was a really funny guy, spoke broken English, but was, had a good sense of humor. I met his mum, who was working there, and she was 75 years old, didn't speak any English at all, couldn't even say hello.
I know.
And
I've met a similar person.
But she'd been here longer than I'd been alive. So she was more Australian than I was, in the sense of she'd been here longer than I had existed. But because she was so, in her community all the time, there's stores that are owned by Vietnamese people who speak both languages. So she just didn't even have to worry about it. So it feels like it's a gift and a curse, right? That you can kind of hide from ever having to learn English or use it. But at the same time, you shouldn't really try and do that. You should try and avoid that and becoming a part of the bigger community, right?
Yeah. I think it's a must. Every person has to have the language skills where they live, because it's your tool to communicate, to reflect, to interact. And language is not a one-touch thing that you can learn. It's a cumulative information that you build. You have to start. You have to practice. You have to adapt to changes. You may learn words. You may know not how to pronounce them. You have to learn how to pronounce them. Everything is available now online. Even if you don't know how to pronounce a name, you can pop into YouTube and ask how this name is pronounced, and it's easily provided to you. So you don't have to embarrass yourself or the person you're speaking to by pronouncing their name mistakenly. So it's your way to open to others. So this openness requires improving your language skills.
So I'm sure one of the biggest questions that listeners to this right now will be having is, how did you go getting to meet other Australians and sort of immersing yourself in the culture? What are the kinds of things that you did to avoid just staying in your own community?
Melbourne is a very organized city where you get invited to a lot of events. Just don't say no. Go, take your family, go to the celebrations. Remember the time before the COVID when we used to go to gatherings?
You might have to wait a few months at the moment because Melbourne's back in lockdown, but
those days look like tens of years ago, but let's hope life will get back to normal. Go out, interact with people. Even if you want to buy fries or chips, or if you want to buy a sandwich, go ahead, talk to people. Ask them about the prices. Ask them about the culture, the situation. Everybody's open here. Everybody wants to talk.
Be curious, 100%.
Once you start conversation, you can be selective. You can select the people who are close to you, your friends you want to interact with on a daily basis. If you're not in harmony or not in chemistry with certain people, just don't push yourself to the limit. But if you have neighbors, go and say good morning. How are you today? How do I use this tool? This thing is broken in my house. How do I fix it? Can you give me a hand? Anything. You can start any simple conversation and things go. You can make friends. You can attend parties. You can even tap into online meetings with people interested. If you have spare time, you can volunteer. You can do it physically. You can do it online. Everything is open here. Chances are everywhere, but you have to be smart and you have to prioritize your time to find the time to do everything, almost everything.
So have you run into any other Jordanians yet?
Yeah, a lot of them from the number one.
I was wondering if you would leave the house and then just hear it all the time, especially in the CBD of Melbourne, where you just have, people from all around the world all the time just coming past, and you can overhear conversations and accents and dialects. So have you had that pop up at times?
You hear everything. Even if you walk into any shopping mall, you hear a lot of accents and languages, and you can distinguish, oh my God, this guy looks from this place. He looks from that place, but he's not from that place because he's got that mixed blood. He's been living here for ages. Now, the funny thing is that I've arranged my immigration with a friend of mine who happened to receive her visa 2 years before me.
Yep.
So she arrived in Melbourne, settled down, got her children in schools. She was my guide when I arrived. She taught me a lot of things, and she showed me how to prepare the stuff we need to do once we arrive as immigrants. And she was a gate for me to meet other Jordanians. And once you pop into the community, you find heaps of people ready to be friends, to give you a hand, to advise, whatever you need.
Oh, brilliant. And so what has it been like as a Muslim in Australia? I think we talked about that in the first episode that we did, and you were talking about getting used to life here. Has your opinion or anything changed after the last 9 months following that episode?
It has changed into a better situation. It's, as I mentioned, it's a multicultural city. And I assume this is the norm in all cities. People from all over the world has been in Australia for years, and people interacted with each other. They know other cultures. They respect, as long as you don't hurt, as long as you don't assault others, as long as you respect them back, you are respected. So I've been here for a year. I wear my hijab and I go out. Never met any, let's say, racist action or any kind of hindrance against what I believe, what I want to do, because simply I respect everybody else. Yeah. And I believe that everybody else has the freedom to do whatever they think is right for them, as long as they don't directly affect me. Even in schools, they understand that Muslim children have some specialties in food. So whenever they make breakfast clubs or Barbie gatherings, they know that Muslim children would want to eat halal food. So it's always available, because Muslim people live almost everywhere here in Australia. You'll find the suitable supplies for Muslim people almost everywhere.
Well, I was doing an episode with my dad on the goss recently. In fact, it would have been the second episode where we were talking about camel ears and the camels that came to Australia in the 1800s. And some of the first immigrants to Australia were Muslim from, I think it was people. Pakistan and Afghanistan. Yeah, so they brought them over.
I heard that.
Yeah, incredible, right? I mean, I think I'm not sure if they would have had like a small burst of migration, and those Muslims who came over were mostly men without families, and then they ending up,
maybe they were workers.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the people now who have heritage tend to be, you wouldn't even know. You'd look at someone like me and find out like their great-great-grandfather was a what they called Gans, the cameleer guys. But but that's really good. I'm really happy to hear that, because I know that, like any other country, there is racism here at times. But I think that's the best part. With big cities like Melbourne and Sydney, you're probably not going to experience it as much as if you were to appear in the outback or something, that stereotype where you're not from around here, are you? Sort of thing, which I even feel at times, And So have you done much travel at all? I mean, prior to recent events?
Not really. We're still trapped in Melbourne. We're still exploring new places. Melbourne is a very large city.
There's a lot to do.
Do you remember the message I sent you one winter night when I asked you for places to visit? I said, "Hey Pete, I'm bored. Just places to visit." And you sent me a list that I went to. Yeah.
Oh, really? You went to all of them?
Because I think your head.
Yeah.
It was useful. We've been to the Botanic Gardens, to the zoo, but we've never been to the Ocean Grove Road yet. We planned to, but it didn't work at that time. I remember we wanted to visit a family with another family, and we drove for over an hour. Yep. And when we arrived, I was exhausted. And I said, "Are we out of Melbourne yet?" No, we just moved from east to west. Oh my God.
Because how big is Jordan as a country? Like, what would be the longest distance you would generally drive?
Well, if we drive from the capital Amman to the most northern or southern port, which is Aqaba, it would take us about 3.5 hours.
Okay, yeah.
By car.
Yeah. So you haven't driven to Queensland yet. You'll have fun. You'll have to get back to me. Let me know how you go when you have a road trip to Cairns.
It takes you about 22 hours drive. Oh my God.
If you don't stop.
22 hours?
Yeah. If you don't stop.
If you don't stop. Exactly. Yeah. I'd rather take a plane.
I know. Well, that's the thing, right? Faster. Rent a car. So are there any things on the list now? I mean, I think we talked about you and where you were wanting to go in the first episode. after having been here for obviously much longer now, have you got a full list of all these places that you would love to go around Australia? Has it changed much?
Yeah. I want to go to Sydney. I want to go to Adelaide. I want to go to Queensland because I've heard a lot of exciting stories about the Gold Coast and the Queen's Coast there. I really want to go there. But let's hope things get back to normal and we Victorian people are allowed to go out because we look like contagious people now. Everybody want to be careful when interacting with us.
Yeah, has it been too full on in wherever it is in Melbourne, the suburbs that you're in? Are you having to worry too much about it and going out? And
not really, but we're close to the isolated places. They're only 10 minutes drive away.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, isn't it, how the world has changed? Because
now we know a lot of people and our friends live in different places. We can't just go out, and it's winter time now. It's very cold outside. You can't go to an open park. If you'd like to have some time and hang in somebody's house, you would think about it twice or three times before even asking for it, because people want to be careful, which is something respected. You want to also be careful. You don't want to interact with the wrong people at the wrong time, as long as you're asked to. And besides, I think we still now have limitation on the number of people gathering together. Is it up to 5? Well, one family usually consists of 5 people. That makes us want to hang out with our own daughters. That's
It's so difficult now because I don't know if the rules are different in Melbourne where they have the lockdown for where we are in Victoria where we're not locked down. So, yeah, it's hard to keep track of. I have to keep watching the news every day and being like, what are the rules now?
Yeah.
So
I know, yeah.
But how have you found the weather? Have you found it to be really, really cold? I guess you arrived in winter, so you probably knew what to expect. But how did you compare the winter with the summer and life back in Jordan?
Well, I thought all Australian places were warm, but I was wrong. Melbourne is a very cold city compared to what I thought, because it really gets cold in winter. By the way, the winter in Jordan is much more colder.
Yeah,
it snows there. Yeah, in January, which is the heart of winter, temperature can drop down below zero.
Oh, wow,
doesn't happen here in Melbourne. But apart from that, it's still cold. It's also the cloudy, the rainy weather you can have in summer. Mm-hmm. So I remember at the end of summer, I asked my friends, was that summer? They said, yeah. You guys lied to me. This is not summer. Summer is full of sunlight. It's full of clear skies. We've had only a few days with that. And, well, that's it. This is the summer from Melbourne. You got to live with that.
I think that's one of the worst.
So it suddenly rains. The weather suddenly changes.
Yes.
Because I think because we're a coastal city.
I used to hate that aspect of it when I was living there going to university, because you'd have to try and look at the forecast and work out, okay, it's cold now, but it's going to be hot later, so I better make sure that I wear clothes or take clothes with me that's appropriate. And you have to cart around all this stuff.
Don't forget your brolly and don't forget your
Yeah. How did you go?
You gotta always be prepared because.
Sorry, you go.
Go ahead. I remember the song you told us about, 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah.
It typically happens here. You can see it. You can live it. And the funny thing is that because the northern hemisphere is very much different from the southern, it's mid of summer in August, while it's mid of winter here.
Yeah.
In Australia. There's an Arabic song about the impossible rain in August. Well, it rains here in August. Everything goes the opposite here. It rains in August. It's very cold in August.
Oh, man. Yeah, it is really interesting. And it's so funny because Australia is so big, how much the weather differs from place to place. So you'll go to Perth and they have what they call the Fremantle I think what do they call it? The afternoon doctor or the Fremantle doctor or something, where it's like the cool change comes in at the same time every day. Uh-huh. And then if you go, to the north of Australia, somewhere like Darwin, it rains all the time during the wet season in the afternoon, and then during the dry season, not at all. So it It is pretty bizarre.
And it's always hot in Darwin.
Oh,
I've met a
man.
nurse who
I don't
used
think-
to live in Darwin. She said it's always 42 in
Yeah.
summer. And I was like, oh, sounds interesting.
The worst part about that, I think, would be the humidity, right? Because dry heat, like in a desert or
Yeah.
something, is one thing, but then having humid heat where it's so much more in your face and you're sweating way more is just...
Exactly, yeah, that's right.
So-
Absolutely right.
How have you gone getting used to the food here too? Have you had any interesting exchanges with Vegemite or, going to a barbecue and trying a snag or any of those sorts of things?
Well, to be honest, Pete, the food here is very delicious. The products, the meat, the veggies, everything is very delicious. I'm fond of food.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're open to new cultures and you taste new food, you get more and more fond of food. We've been through a lot of barbecues with friends, and I'm a fond of snags.
Yeah.
I've also tried the Vegemite. I sent you a photo once.
I think you did. Yeah. Have you tried it again, or you just did it once and that was it? That was enough.
No, I tried it many times. It's weird because we think it's jam, so we expect sweet flavor. But the trick is to apply very tiny amount of this Vegemite to your toast, covered with a layer of butter. That's it. Have you tried it with cream cheese?
No. See, my parents love
It's
Vegemite and
delicious.
cheese.
Recommended.
Yeah,
Recommended.
apparently it's really good.
delicious.
And avocado.
Yeah.
Apparently you can have it with like avocado and cheese, and that's really good as well. But
Probably, yeah. The avocado dip, you mean?
well, that or just get an avocado and slice it up and put it on top of a biscuit.
Probably. Let's try that.
Yeah,
Let's give it a
but
try.
I'm weirder. I think I like it on raisin toast. So raisin toast is kind of like sweet, and then you put butter on it,
Yeah.
and then you put a bit of salty Vegemite on it, and it's kind of salty sweet. It's really good.
Yeah. It balances the flavors here.
Yeah, exactly. So how have you gone to finding food from Jordan? It must be much easier than you first expected, being in Melbourne, I take it.
Before I arrived in Melbourne, I asked a lot of people, how hard is it to find Middle Eastern food? They said, you're going to be surprised for the plenty amounts and the different types of Middle Eastern food found here. Well, thanks to the ancestors who arrived in here, some generations are, in some communities have their third generation here in Australia.
Wow.
And obviously they brought everything. Literally, they brought everything.
Yep.
Even if you try to remember the small thing you used to use when you were a child, you'll find it here in Australia. Look for it and you'll find it. Everything is here. So you can make your own food with recipe, with your own tricks, and it will come up the exact flavor you're used to. Even if it's sometimes you can make it even better because the direct products, the dishes here, the meat, they're very delicious. So you come out with new recipes, and even if you follow the traditional recipes, you come up with great food.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask you about fusions and like where obviously if you can find all of the ingredients from the original dishes that you loved back home, but then you have all this extra stuff that you previously didn't have, the food can go off in a different direction. Did you find that when you came to Australia and you started going to, say, Jordanian parties or other parties, that the food wasn't necessarily the exact same thing? They'd put their own spin on things and made it unique.
Exactly. Yeah. This is something exciting because you are out of your country. You want to try new things. You just don't want to feel like you're trapped with the things you're used to. I mean, it's okay to taste the same food you like, to cook what you wanted to cook, but it's also exciting to add extra flavors, new things to try. Now the hyper supermarkets here have long aisles for a lot of communities.
Mm-hmm.
You can find Middle Eastern food. You can find Indian. You can find Persian. You can find even Chinese. So if you are used to cooking in a with certain recipe and certain ingredients, you can easily find them. If you want to change, you can easily change. If you want to look for a substitute, very easy to find a substitute. And the result is always amazing.
It was always weird for me growing up, I guess, looking back, my dad and mum used to always make curries. So they'd make Indian curries, they'd make Vietnamese curries, Thai curries, and we would have a lot of Italian food. And it was a weird thing where you realize that Australia doesn't really have this kind of like unique cuisine. Like my wife's Brazilian, as you know, and she shows me photos all the time of Brazilian food, and it's very specific. It's like certain kinds of rice, the meat's made a certain way. They use a lot of beans, but Australia doesn't really have it. And we get raised on all of these other foods because they're so accessible because of the immigrant culture. Was that something that you were expecting ahead of time?
Yeah. In addition to that, Jordan is in the heart of the Middle East, and we're surrounded by a lot of cuisines. We're used to trying bits and pieces from everywhere. We know when we prepare a dish that this is a Syrian dish. No, this is a Palestinian one. Well, this is a Lebanese one. Yeah. So we're not limited only to our main dishes in Jordan. We have also tried Egyptian food, which is a lot different from the Jordanian. But once we arrived in here and we started finding out about new ingredients, we wanted to mix and match, to find substitutes to what the things we're used to, and to try new things. And it makes it even more exciting and more delicious to try.
Yeah, awesome. And so I guess lastly, how have the rest of your family gone? Have there been your two children and your husband, have any of you found it much easier to sort of get used to life in Australia, or have some of you found it more difficult? What's the sort of experience been like?
My children went through very easy because they've been to international schools in Jordan, and they had to speak in English all day long while still in school, and they immediately switched to Arabic once they arrived home.
Too easy then.
Yeah, it was too easy, and it is still too easy. Yep. But I find it that my children haven't adapted to the Aussie accent well. Yeah, they understand very well. But they find it difficult to pronounce it the Aussie way because they're used to the American accent. At the beginning, they had difficulties following up with teachers because teachers used to speak faster than expected. So we had to talk to the teachers and ask them to slow down, even for just a month or two, just to get the children blend well with the accent with friends. And it went well ever since then. Even with the online schooling, homeschooling, everything was fine. And the school teachers understand that there might be differences. Some children have native mother tongues other than English. Sometimes it takes a while to process the convo, because if it is spoken faster than expected, it takes me a while, even for me. It takes me a while to process the words and the sentence and, you were talking about that. Okay, I'll continue.
Well, it's a process, right? It's going to take a while. Like it takes more than just a year to get used to.
Exactly, yeah. So I see that my children adapted well. My husband, he misses our country. He misses his friends, but he found new friends here, very lovely people. And he actually found a job in his same career.
Oh, brilliant.
Now he's a news anchor in SBS in the Arabic section. He's doing very well.
Man, tell him congratulations. That's brilliant.
He goes live basis. Thank you.
Far out.
And so it broke the ice for him. He commutes back and forth to work every day, either by the transportation or by his own car. So once you move around, you talk to people, you make money, which is the important thing. You feel like productive. You feel like part of the community. You feel belonging to the place.
Wow. And so how have you gone with bilingualism and trying to conserve, obviously, Arabic at home? Because, obviously that's really important for your kids not to lose. Has that been easier than expected? Has it been difficult, or has it been exactly as expected? And have you been following certain methods to try and maintain it?
As I told you, because my children were born in Jordan and Arabic is our first language, Arabic is much more difficult and it requires strength in pronunciation, even much more stronger than English. So it's a norm for Arab children to learn Arabic before English. But once these skills are acquired, children can go bilingual, and this happens with millions of Arab children. The challenge is with the children who grow up in English-speaking countries where they acquire the English language skills before Arabic. It makes them quite difficult to continue speaking Arabic. So you find them switch to English whenever they can because it's much easier for them. Because my children are old children. I mean, I have 17 and 10. Yep. We've passed the childhood there with our Arab community. Now we're blending with an English-speaking community. Switching between the two languages is easy for me. But if somebody comes in and want to maintain the Arabic language skills, has to work hard on this, has to put rules that whenever family talk, they talk in Arabic.
Yeah.
You don't reply in English, even if it takes you, if it makes you under challenge or makes you feel stressed, try talk in Arabic, express yourself, use all the vocabulary you know, just express yourself because if children convert to English, getting back to Arabic is very difficult.
I can imagine it becomes...
So we've maintained the norm.
Yeah, you have to have them. They must be competing with one another, right? And you just have to make sure that they're both being used and that one doesn't completely take over, right?
Exactly, yeah. Especially with children at a younger age, they find it much easier to think out loud and to express themselves in English. So whatever second language parents have, they have to put rules for the children. Like, if I'm talking to you in my language, you reply to me with my language. Don't switch to any other.
Yeah.
A child can adapt easily. They learn fast. But the thing is to consistently follow this rule. Never let go. Because once you let go, the language is gone.
Well, that's like everything, right? With raising children. Even with Noah, he's only turned 13 months today, but even with him, I know, like, you can't just always be like, oh, okay, he wants to eat on the floor today. He doesn't want to eat in his chair. And it's like, no, he needs to sit in his damn chair and he needs to eat his food there.
Because
that's where
he'll always follow the simple and the easiest way to do things. Yeah.
And they don't necessarily... I mean, you feel it, at least with the younger ones. They don't necessarily care about doing the other thing. They just want to see if you'll let them. They want to control what's happening. And
exactly, yeah. They want to catch the chance.
Exactly. Far out. Well, Dua, thank you so much for coming on. Do you have anything, advice-wise for anyone who might be in Jordan or elsewhere in the world before coming to Australia? What can they do right now to sort of, prepare?
First, register with Pate. Register to his podcast.
You're too kind.
Because it's very useful. Oh, thank you. It's very useful. Learn everything you can about the Australian culture, the Aussie people. Never say no for new chances. Always be brave. Always have the courage to move forward. Even if it is taking you out from your comfort zone, you've made the decision to immigrate and move from one place to another, you have to understand that there would be consequences, positive or negative. You have to be patient. You have to make a plan. If you want to make money, you have to be patient. You're not going to find a job with your certificate or with whatever skills you have immediately. It's going to take time. So you have to be open to other chances. If you are offered a job or a part-time job in a career very much different than yours, don't say no.
Yeah.
Be open to learning new skills. There will be challenges. There will be a lot of difficulties. Be patient. People here are willing to help. Everybody welcomes the help and advice. Look for the true people in your life, like make new friends, open to other communities, to other cultures. You'll find it easy. Don't just be an introvert. Convert yourself an extrovert, and life would open to you.
Good tips. We'll have to have you on for the second year. I don't think much will change though in the next 12 months, apart from the fact that you might get out of the house a little bit more in a few more months if Daniel Andrews does a good job.
Everybody stays safe and this pandemic ends with the least challenges here and everywhere.
Well, Dua Fakhereddin, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Pete, for having me.